Hey, how you doing? My name is Pete Nill, and I'm here in my whirligig shop. But a long time ago, uh, to get to this point, I have to start 20 some years ago, many years ago. I suffered a cardiomyopathy, idiopathic virus cardiomyopathy to my left ventricle of my heart, and it weakened it really bad. And I've struggled with heart failure for many, many years. And it's gotten to this point now where now, present day, I have an LVAD from Johns Hopkins, left ventricle assist device, heart pump. Heart pump is a bridge to transplant. And my heart has been replaced twice. The original one I received in March of 2015, and the second one I received in May of 2016. The reason for the second one was the first one clotted up, but let's go back and tell you how far I've come. I continued working even after diagnosed with a cardiomyopathy for many, many years. I turned down the opportunity for assistance and went back to work full time, raised a family. But my story starts when I was born and raised. I was raised in Walkersville, and it was just the right time of life to be my age in Walkersville. It was a great place to grow up. Still is, okay? Farming community, close-knit. Everybody knew everybody. I worked on a lot of dairy farms and made a lot of friends. All my classmates were farmers. I was president of the FFA of 1974 for our Walkersville chapter. And today, even today, that gives me great pride to be part of that community. So from there I left Walkersville, joined the Navy, spent 7 years in the Seabees, came out of Seabees, and went to work for Caterpillar. And from there I left Caterpillar and started working for a retail grocery, Safeway. Raised a family and caught an upper respiratory infection while I was a head night stalker at Safeway. Head night stalking at Safeway didn't give me the cardiomyopathy or the upper respiratory infection. I got sick one summer. Got a bad cold in the winter. And they believe a virus, idiopathic virus, spun off of that upper respiratory infection and attacked my left ventricle. That was many, many years ago, and I continued to work. I was told at that time I was diagnosed with a cardiomyopathy, that the damage they saw that had occurred to my left ventricle, they had seen in other people, and they had lasted 2 years. They advised me to get on with my life. So I found some good cardiologists and started paying attention and listening and taking extra care. And here we are. That was 2 decades ago. And now my left ventricle, after all that time, we knew at that time it would come to a point where my left ventricle would cease to pump enough blood to sustain my body's needs. And it finally came to that point in 2015, early of 2015. I became and qualified to be part of the LVAD program at Johns Hopkins. And this is the LVAD right here hanging on a chair. And the heart pump is in my chest. And I've had it replaced twice. I am on the heart transplant list at Johns Hopkins. We are raising money to help with medical expenses. There are some things that insurance doesn't cover. Co-pays, out-of-pocket, deductibles, ambulances rides. There's countless amounts of expenses. This first LVAD is pretty much $250,000. And I've had two. A transplant, don't quote me, but it's, the first year is close to $1 million. So there will be expenses that are not covered by what insurance we have. And this is the reason why we're raising money. Simply expensive moving back and forth between here and Hopkins, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week, a trip per day gets expensive after a while. But anyway, I've had a lot of hobbies in my life. And even though I appear to look, wow, he looks pretty good. I get that a lot from folks. You don't look like you need a heart transplant. Well, thanks to the LVAD and the folks at Johns Hopkins and the pacemaker, this is possible. The pacemaker, the LVAD pump provides a flow that my left ventricle can no longer deliver. And when I got the first LVAD, my left ventricle was only pumping 1 liter of blood per minute. With the average person my size, sitting watching television, 6 foot, 225 pounds, is 4 to 5 liters a minute. All I had was 1 liter. So immediately I had more blood flow, and the LVAD gave me that. And I'm grateful for that. We need a heart transplant. There are people that have survived on the LVAD. I think they have one up close to 10 years. And staying busy with hobbies and keeping your mind occupied, keep a positive attitude. Prayer is a huge, huge, huge part of my life. And believing, don't give up. Don't anybody ever give up. And I don't. So I used to have a hobby before the left ventricle. This was years ago. I used to drive all over the country. Well, not all over the country, but I have driven and used to collect J.I. Case tractors, lawn and garden tractors, no longer manufactured. The Case company, the Case Tractor Company, sold their lawn and garden line before the big merger with International. And these old tractors, you'll find a picture of one of my tractors on my Facebook page. And these are the tractor I used to collect. I no longer am able to do that. And you have to move on. You have to make changes. You have to adapt. And if you can't adapt, then you have to adapt. Okay? You just can't sit there and give up. You have to adapt and meet every day with the proper attitude, the proper prayer. So, that's what I did. So I switched one hobby for this hobby. And what you see in front of you is my new sit-at-home hobby. I design and build whirligigs. And they're a lot of fun because there's a mechanical portion that needs to be figured out before you can proceed with all this other stuff. And that's where my previous training in the CBs and Caterpillar, I'm an old gearhead from years ago. Worked on farm machinery, put Alice Chalmers corn planters together, hauled countless amount of Alice Chalmers corn planters when I worked for the dealership in Frederick when I was in high school, all over Virginia, northern Virginia, delivering corn planters. It was Alice Chalmers' first no-till corn planter. And let me tell you what, you told a farmer he could plant his field of corn with this corn planter without plowing it first, they wanted one. They wanted a piece of that. And that's what I did. They were extremely popular. They were the first ones in the field with a no-till corn planter. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. But these whirligigs are keep my mind busy. They're a challenge, and it feels good to get them to work right because it takes a lot more. Now, this one particular whirligig that I'm working on, we're going to talk about here in a couple of minutes, it's for my grandson. And Oliver has yet to be born, but he's expected mid-November, first grandson. So he's going to get the very first Snoopy plane from his papa, because I am the only grandfather or grandparent he will have. Oh, I'm sorry. I am the only grandfather he will have. Okay. Everyone else in the family, except for his grandmother on her father's side, on his father's side, has passed away. And this will be for him. So getting a heart transplant, remaining healthy, occupies 100% of my time.